In the early hours of 2026, humanity is poised on the edge of a new chapter in space exploration. For the first time in more than half a century, humans are about to travel beyond low Earth orbit to circle the moon and return. This is Artemis II, NASA's first crewed lunar mission since Apollo, and a cornerstone of a bold vision that extends far beyond a single flight. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know about Artemis II. From the rocket that will launch it, to the spacecraft the crew will live inside. From who the astronauts are, to the exact path they'll take around the moon. We'll look at how long the mission lasts, what systems and scientific tests will be carried out in deep space, why this flight matters so much for future moon landings, and the latest updates on where the mission stands right now. Because Artemis II isn't just another mission, it's the bridge between testing hardware in space and putting humans back on the moon. And what happens on this single flight will shape the next era of lunar exploration and everything that comes after. Welcome to territory. This is your space. The Artemis program is NASA's ambitious lunar exploration initiative, a multi-mission campaign to send humans back to the moon, establish a sustainable presence there, and learn how to live and work on another world. Artemis II is the second major mission of this program and the first to carry astronauts. The first, Artemis I, was an uncrewed test flight that proved NASA's Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft could complete a lunar trajectory and safely return to Earth. The next step, and one of the most important, is to put people inside that spacecraft. At its core, Artemis II is a systems verification mission with astronauts on board. Rather than landing on the moon, the mission will take the Orion spacecraft on a 10-day journey around the moon and back. During this voyage, nearly every major spacecraft system, life support, communications, navigation, propulsion, and crew interfaces will be tested in the real conditions of deep space. Beyond hardware, Artemis II is also about people. How the human body responds to the stresses of deep space, microgravity for extended periods, radiation beyond Earth's protective magnetosphere, and the psychological challenges of isolation will be measured and studied. This historic journey will be crewed by 4 astronauts: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. Wiseman brings leadership from years in spaceflight operations. Glover and Koch each have extensive experience aboard the International Space Station, and Koch herself will become one of the first women to travel beyond low Earth orbit. Hansen's presence marks the first time a Canadian astronaut will travel to the moon's vicinity. Their Orion spacecraft has even been given a name, Integrity, reflecting the crew's spirit. Artemis II will ride into space atop NASA's Space Launch System, or SLS, the most powerful rocket the agency has ever built. At more than 320 feet tall, it dwarfs most launch vehicles and is designed to send Orion and its crew far beyond Earth's gravitational pull. The Orion spacecraft is equally remarkable. Built by Lockheed Martin, Orion is a deep space crew capsule capable of protecting astronauts during both the intense launch and the fiery re-entry through Earth's atmosphere. It includes advanced life support systems, solar arrays that power the mission, and shielding designed to protect the crew from space radiation. Orion consists of 2 primary sections: Crew Module, where the astronauts live and work, and European Service Module, which provides propulsion, energy, and thermal control. Together with the Launch Abort system designed to jettison the crew module to safety in a launch emergency, this stack is NASA's next-generation deep space vehicle. Once launched, Orion will follow a carefully plotted trajectory that takes it around the lunar far side and back home. After liftoff from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the SLS will fire its engines to push Orion into orbit. Then a critical engine burn, the translunar injection, will send the spacecraft on its way to lunar distance. After traveling roughly 240,000 miles from Earth, Orion will swing around the Moon, taking advantage of lunar gravity to slingshot back toward Earth. During this loop, the mission team will monitor life support, radiation exposure, communication systems, and the spacecraft's navigation capabilities. The crew will conduct manual and automated maneuvers to evaluate Orion's handling and responsiveness in ways that cannot be duplicated on Earth. At the end of this 10-day journey, Orion will re-enter Earth's atmosphere at tremendous speed, heat shielding ablaze as it plunges through atmospheric layers and finally splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, where recovery teams will retrieve the crew. Although Artemis II is primarily a systems test flight, it will carry a suite of experiments and sensors to gather important data on the deep space environment and human physiology. These findings will help calibrate future spacecraft critical for Artemis III and beyond, improve astronaut safety protocols, and support long-duration missions to the lunar surface and Mars. As of January 2026, NASA has completed several major milestones in Artemis II preparations. The integrated SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft have been rolled out to Launch Pad 39B at Kennedy Space Center, marking one of the final steps before launch operations begin. The mission is currently slated to launch in early February 2026, with the first available launch window opening around February 6 to 7. NASA will perform a wet dress rehearsal in early February, a full countdown and fuel loading exercise to ensure all systems are ready for flight. Weather, technical reviews, and system checks will all play into the exact launch date, but the agency is approaching this historic moment with both excitement and caution. NASA officials emphasize that this is not a rush to launch at any cost, but a carefully managed progression towards success and crew safety. Artemis II has not been without its challenges. Earlier tests revealed issues with heat shielding and life support systems during Artemis I re-entry evaluations. Engineers addressed these with redesigns and new thermal protection strategies that have since been implemented on Orion for Artemis II. Complex systems like radiation shielding, environmental controls, and deep space communications have undergone months of testing and verification. The crew themselves have trained for scenarios ranging from manual spacecraft control to emergency procedures, spending long hours simulating real flight conditions at NASA facilities. Artemis II is a mission of preparation, but it points directly to Artemis III, the one that will land humans on the Moon. In short, Artemis II has to succeed in order to make Artemis III possible. Beyond Artemis III, NASA and international partners envision a long-term lunar presence, scientific outposts, commercial partnerships, and a staging ground for Mars. So Artemis II is not just a voyage around the Moon. It's the first pacing lap in a marathon that may one day take humanity to another planet. And when Orion returns to Earth's oceans in early 2026, it will carry with it not just 4 astronauts, but the confidence that we are ready to take the next giant leap. What part of this mission excites you the most? The spacecraft, the crew, or what it unlocks for the future? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, a like really helps the channel reach more curious minds. And if you want to follow the Artemis missions as they unfold, from launch to splashdown, subscribe to Territory, because this is your space.